Hi guys, on the grid, Fernandes Limbo. John, a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Girls basketball, boys basketball. Let's get right to it. Let's talk about the games that happened before. You were at the regional semi Lakewood Ranch at Palmetto. Give me your impressions of that game. Was it an upset? What transpired in that game?
Well, hard to say because Ranch had won the 2 regular season games by about 31 points combined. Palmetto won the district championship game at Lakewood Ranch. Lakewood Ranch really was the better team the other night. I mean, they were the better team from beginning to end. I mean, Palmetto had one kind of late burst in the fourth quarter, got within 6. But Palmetto, Lakewood Ranch did a great job of closing the inside, forcing Palmetto into a lot of low percentage outside shots. Tina Stevens, who had 22 points in the final, only had 10 for Palmetto. So they did a good job adjusting. And, LaDeja Williams and the coach, Tina Hadley, both said, we didn't care about revenge. It wasn't about revenge. We wanted to win this game and get to the regional final, which they've done. They'll be in Palm Harbor tomorrow night playing the Hurricanes of Palm Harbor University.
Break down that game. What do you know about the opponent, and what are they looking at here?
Well, Lakewood Ranch beat them by 7 back in January, but Lakewood Ranch beat Fort Myers last year in the regular season and lost in the regional final. But that was a different circumstance. Fort Myers didn't have its best player the first time they played. So, we'll see. I mean, Palm Harbor beat an undefeated Strawberry Crest team to get to the regional final. So, they've done some work there. The one thing that you're not worried about if you're Lakewood Ranch is playing on the road, because they played on the road last year, reached the regional final on the road this year, reached the regional final. This is where they want to be. They're one step away from, going to the Final Four for the first time. So this is where Tina Hadley thought they'd be, and they've recovered nicely since losing the district championship game to Palmetto.
I was at the 1A game. Sometimes the 1A games get overlooked. I was at the Keswick Christian, Sarasota Christian game.
Yeah.
And once again, in these games, sometimes it comes down to who has the best player. Clearly, Mackenzie Lance, her team scores 50 points. She scores 27.
Right.
Anytime they were troubled, she took over the ball, drove to the hoop.
Yeah.
Very aggressive player. I'm sure you'll agree that a lot of times in sports, if you're just the aggressive player, that can make up for a lot of shortcomings in talent.
Well, especially in basketball, too. I mean, with the way fouls are called in some of these games, I'm surprised more players, boys and girls, not just drive to the hoop. Get
the contact.
Get the contact, and if not draw a foul, just, create something. And no, I saw her play in the district semi against Braden Christian. She carried them to that win, too. What a story that Sarasota Christian's been. I mean, they lost to Keswick twice regular season, beat him in the district championship game, beat him again, and they're playing for a regional final. So it just proves that, as long as you keep playing, no matter who you face, you have a chance. And they've been a great story. They're home.
Yeah, they're home, and I came against Covenant Christian on Saturday night at 7. I talked to Scott Lance, who's the dad of Mackenzie, and I'm like, you guys won 8 games all year, and you've won 5 of those here in a row at the very end of the season. He's like, we got seniors who don't want to give up. That's a standard cliche, but it's true.
And Mackenzie especially, she blew her knee out last December, missed the Final Four run. So, I think she's cherishing every minute she plays this year because she knew what happened last year. And, yeah, definitely a great story out in Sarasota Christian.
Yeah, they've made the state tournament the last 2 years, so don't count them out against Covenant, which I don't really know much about. But we got a couple other teams. Booker making
another good story.
Great story. They'll be facing Dunbar, a 1-point winner over Southeast.
Yeah.
I saw Booker play one time, a couple of nice players, obviously inside presence. Name escapes me right now, but sort of break down that game.
Clixia Foster.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the bigger girl down there.
Right. Oh, we'll see. Should be a good game. I mean, Dunbar ranked 2nd in the state. They got some height, but the game is at Booker.
Right.
And Booker all year long, you hate to say overachieved. That can sometimes be looked at as being negative.
But the players really aren't that good to begin with.
And that's not the case here.
Right, sure.
But I think they've had 7 players most of the season because of injuries. They lost their best player to an injury, and here they are hosting a regional final. So, a great story, and been a lot of those great stories this year of teams doing what we didn't expect them to do. And Booker obviously one of those stories. Big test, like we said, Dunbar ranked 2nd in the state. They've been in the Final Four 3 of the last 4 years. Dwayne Donald, the head coach, a great resume. So it's going to be a big challenge for Booker, but they're here. Let's see what happens.
Coach Nelson came down from the Midwest, I think in her 2nd year at Booker, has really turned that program around. Because earlier, when you think about girls basketball teams, Booker Tornado girls really didn't jump out at you.
No, you think Southeast, you think Lakewood Ranch. You don't usually think about Braden Christian for a while, Sarasota Christian, what they've done the last couple of years. Right, you don't usually think about Booker, but all it takes is 1 or 2 good years to change that perception. And hey, you're a regional finalist. There's only 3 teams in the area left. You're one of them.
Now let's see how going forward if they can continue this sort of thing.
Yeah, you're 4 quarters away from Lakeland, the Lakeland Center. That's like the holy grail of state basketball, and you're on the cusp.
We talk about girls' games that just happened. We have a lot of boys' action happening tonight.
Yes.
You're going to be at Naples Lely Southeast.
Right.
I'm going to be at, luckily, because I want to check this game out, Orlando Dr. Phillips at Riverview. Just break down your game first a little bit.
Well, Southeast has not won a regional playoff game since 2004 when they upset St. Pete Lakewood in the Region 4 championship game, made the Final Four. So it's been a long time for the Seminoles to win a regional game. And it's funny how you talk about, usually mention Booker Tornado girls and girls. You usually always mention Southeast boys in basketball. They're always a pretty perennial contender program. So Floyd Watkins has done a nice job getting them back. He has 3 really good seniors, including Trey Alexander. So, if they could win tonight, that'd be a big win for the program. Like I said, first time in 12 years they've not won a regional game. So hopefully for the Seminoles, that snaps tonight.
I'm going to be at the game that a lot of people have interest in, only because Riverview has clearly been the best boys basketball team in the area. They're taking on Orlando Dr. Phillips. Kind of an interesting story with Orlando. They lost 3 starters from last year's team, graduated before the season started to other schools. They don't have any returning starters. They've won 20 straight games. They've won 20 more games for 19 straight years. They go into this game at 19-8. Right. So they got to beat Riverview to get to that 20th win plateau again. And if you're looking at Riverview, they've only lost twice. Last game against Alonzo, they avenged one of their only losses of the season.
Right.
BJ Ivy has this team playing. If you know basketball, it comes down to obviously heart and passion on offense and defense. And offense, they have all the players. They have outside shooters, Caldwell. They have Breon inside. Yep. They have guys who know their role as rebounders. Dom Caldwell does everything.
Right.
Very interesting game from a fan's perspective.
Yeah, and that's a tough draw for Riverview. You win your district and you open up with Dr. Phillips, 19-win team, as you mentioned, with a great history. But to me, the reason you win your district is to get that game in your building. And I did video last year, and you covered their regional opener, and they lost that game. But it was still a good atmosphere. They had all the 6-man T-shirts, and it was a big student section. So the reason you play hard over the course of the year is to get that top seed in district, and then you win it, and then you're home. So great story for Riverview, and this is what they've been playing for tonight to get to the state final.
Right. I think if you would ask BJ Ivy on the record or off the record, if they can't get past this game, they might look at the season as not being a total, fully successful season.
Yeah, I think
if
so.
You lose at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a lot of other teams in action.
One we should mention, Lakewood Ranch Northport.
Please do break down that one.
Right. Well, Ranch has never won a regional game.
Right.
They won their first championship in 11 years last week, beating Palmetto. Northport beat them in the district final last year, and they're both in the same district. Lakewood Ranch beat Northport way earlier in this season, so that'd be a big win for Jeremy Schiller and the Mustangs to get that first regional victory under their belt.
Yeah, we have 7 other games. Right. As is always the case when we have a lot of local teams in the area. Some of these teams, unfortunately, will be going down.
Right, yeah.
Others will move on.
Yep.
But it's just a great story to talk about next week. And we can't leave out the fact that baseball and softball have started. Teams have opened up 1-0.
Yeah.
That's always a fun season to watch.
Right.
Baseball. Anybody that stands out immediately?
One good story, Miriam Schmoll, the pitcher for Bayshore, blew her knee out last year and missed almost the entire season.
Right.
2 years ago, she pitched them in the Final Four. She came back this year, 15 strikeouts in her first game. She walked 9, but 15 strikeouts. I think 1 hit, 2 runs. So she seems to be picking up where she left off as a freshman. She was incredible that year. She was really good, and she's already a USF commit as a junior. So hopefully she stays healthy the remainder of the season.
That's a story we'll look at going forward. Obviously, we hope to be talking about some of these teams next week.
Right.
We got baseball, softball, so a lot of things on the plate.
Could be a Final Four for a girls team next week too.
Could. We hope to be talking about them. So please join us next week for On the Grid. And for John Lembo and Doug Fernandez, this is On the Grid. We'll see you next week.